I feel that most Muslims, if not all of them, know that Islam is not a true religion, but most of them fear to convert to Christianity. And this begs the question, what is keeping them from converting? In this video, I'll be revealing the main reason why most of the Muslims do not convert to Christianity or to any other religion. The main reason why they do not change is because Muhammad said that if you change from Islam to any other religion, you are blasphemous and therefore you must be killed. So any apostate who renounces Islam for Christianity or for any other religion should or must be killed. And this is holding most of the Muslims from converting to Christianity. I was listening to a podcast and there was a debate between ex-Muslims and Muslims, and they responded to this big issue of apostasy. And I've been holding myself to make this video, but there is a video that I'll be showing you at the end of this, and this video serves as an evidence of the apostates being killed for changing from Islam to Christianity. So my friend, without further ado, allow us to watch this podcast and I'll be reacting if need be.
So your background, you've been in this world. What is your biggest challenge and differences with the religion of Islam?
Well, you know, probably the main thing is the sanctification of violence and the idea that God will bless and even calls upon the believers to commit acts of violence under certain circumstances. Like Rashid here is an ex-Muslim, and so under Islamic law, as it's traditionally and classically formulated, he would be put to death. Muhammad said, anybody who changes his religion, kill him. And it's still the position of all of the schools of Islamic jurisprudence, Sunni and Shia, that the apostate should be put to death. Now, obviously, this is not something that means that every apostate has to always go around watching himself, because you have to have somebody who's willing to do that. But those who do it, they think, well, now I have done something that Allah has commanded, and he will bless me for doing it. And me, myself, because I was standing up for the freedom of speech, 2015, Pamela Geller and I put on in Texas a Muhammad art exhibit and cartoon contest. And it was actually, we featured a lot of classic Shiite Persian art depicting Muhammad, as well as contemporary art that was from a more critical standpoint. And a couple of jihadis came from Phoenix, key members, actually, of the Islamic Community Center of Phoenix. One of them was featured in a recruitment video for them, and they tried to kill us. And so I actually would be also under a death sentence just for drawing Muhammad and for sponsoring people who do, which I did not in order to cause gratuitous insult, but to defend the freedom of speech and freedom of expression, which is the foundation of any genuinely free society.
Danny, what would you say to that? What's your response to that?
Yeah, so just a few points here. Number one, it's interesting how we want to talk about Islam as a religion, but the religion is 95%, like what Jake mentioned. It's about worshiping God, being devoted to a righteous way of life, loving your neighbors, taking care of your parents. That's what 95% of Islam is about. Yes, there are criminal punishments, which we're going to discuss. There is conquest, there is war theory, there's all of this in Islam. But it's interesting how when a conversation is about Islam, we focus on that 5% instead of the 95% of what Islam is about. We don't see this kind of double standard with like Christians. So if you have someone like Matt Walsh is a traditional Christian. There's slavery in the Bible. There's punishment for blasphemers in the Bible. There's killing of heretics in the church tradition. There's no discussion of that with Matt Walsh, right? Or Ben Shapiro. There is killing of blasphemers in the Hebrew Bible. There is, punishments for apostasy in the Talmud. There's no discussion of that with Ben Shapiro. You can talk about, other values, and that's what the discussion focuses on. But the Islamophobic narrative is just lasering in on these specific topics, which is fine. We can discuss that, but I just want to note the double standard. So the other framing of this whole discussion that I want to put out here, though, is that I'm wondering, like this standard of, there should be no punishment for blasphemy, for example. Let's just put that out there. There should be no punishment for mocking and insulting a religion, attacking people's values. Is that coming from a Christian perspective? Is that coming from is that coming from the church tradition? Is that coming from the Bible? Because when we look at the Bible, we see in Leviticus, we see in Deuteronomy that blasphemers should be put to death. even if you entice, the Bible says, if you entice, like your son or your daughter or your wife entices you to worship other than God, then have no mercy. Put them to death without due process mentioned, without any kind of court or tribunal. The husband or the father should just immediately put them to death without mercy. That's what the Bible says. So when Robert wants to criticize Islam, I'm wondering, is that criticism on the basis of the Bible? Is that on the basis of the church tradition? Or is this a liberal, secular, modernist critique of Islam? So I want to know, am I debating or discussing with two Christians or two atheists or two liberal secularists? Like, that's a clarification that we need.
May I?
Yes.
This is a very important clarification, and there are a couple of distinctions that have to be made. One is all of your examples from Christianity are from Old Testament law, which if you had studied Christianity, you would know there's no sect of Christianity, no school of Christian thought, no tradition within Christianity that holds that Old Testament law applies to Christians for all time. As a matter of fact, it never did apply. Even in Judaism, after the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, the rabbis redefined Judaism so that even they don't teach that those punishments have ongoing validity. So you're talking about something that nobody in mainstream Judaism or Christianity thinks is valid today versus something that unfortunately all too many Muslims do think is valid today. And the bringing up of ancient historical wrongdoing is all very well, and there's certainly a place for that. I've got no interest in denying any of the misdeeds of Christians throughout history. But the problem that we have in Islam is that these passages of the Quran that are problematic, passages of Muhammad's traditions that are problematic, they are still considered to be in force by very large numbers of Muslims, such that all the major terrorist groups around the world are Islamic groups. And you don't have any Christian terrorist groups saying Jesus is Lord and blowing people up. There's a reason for that. And the reasons have to do with the interpretative traditions in both religions.
Can I comment?
Go ahead.
Please.
Yeah, so I would ask Robert a very simple question that I think gets at what the real issue actually is. Do you believe that it's inherently immoral for an apostate to be put to death?
Do I believe that it's inherently immoral for an apostate to be put to death?
Is it inherently immoral?
Well, I know this is some kind of trap, but in any case,
No,
I don't
I'm just
see any
looking for
reason.
honesty on your part, that's all.
You can always have honesty on my part. Everything I tell you is the truth.
Okay, so go
and
ahead.
the fact is that, I don't know. I tell you the truth. I haven't thought about it.
Okay, you haven't thought about it. Well, you're writing
Yeah.
all of these books on Islam
how are
talking
you
about
criticizing
apostasy,
Islam?
Right.
and you don't even know if this is inherently immoral. That's quite shocking,
No,
Robert.
I would say that I don't think that it's moral to put the apostate to death.
So it's
But
immoral.
As it comes to my books about Islam, I'm just reporting on what Islamic clerics and the Islamic tradition teaches about passages like when Muhammad says, if somebody changes his religion, kill him. So
Yeah, but
if you look, for example, in chapter 4, verse 89 of the Quran, in the critical Quran, where it says, if they turn renegade, then come and kill them wherever you find them, then I give Islamic authorities who actually say that this should be done. And that is something people need to know. Now, whether you're talking about in the ideal society, you have apostates put to death, I don't think so, because I believe in the freedom of conscience and the idea that of the dignity of the human person, which is a Christian concept that's not in Islam. You have in Islam, the unbelievers are the most vile of created beings, according to chapter 98, verse 6.
One issue at a time.
So on. No, this is all.
I still
let's
didn't
talk
get an
about
answer
the
if it's-
Christian.
I understand,
Is it
but this
inherently
is all the
immoral?
same issue. Whereas in
Is it
Christianity,
inherently immoral?
all people are equal in dignity as made in the image of God. And so in that sense, I would say, no, I don't think it is.
So is it inherently immoral, yes or no?
Can I answer that?
It is.
It is.
So when Deuteronomy, since you like to quote the Quran, when the Bible says this in Deuteronomy 13:6, if your brother, the son of your mother, your son of your daughter, the wife of your bosom, or your friend, who is as your own soul, secretly entices you, saying, quote, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, neither you nor your fathers, of the gods of the people which are all around you, near to you or far from you, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth, you shall not consent to him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pity him, nor shall you spare him or conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people, and you shall stone him with stones until he dies, because he sought to entice you away from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house house of bondage. So all Israel shall hear and fear, and not again do such wickedness as this among you. So
Yes.
let me finish. Let me
I get
comment on
your
the
point.
passage. So when your loving God, Jesus Christ, who you believe is God, who revealed the Old Testament and revealed this as a law for the people, and you said that it's inherently immoral for the punishment of apostasy to be death, then you are charging your own God and supposedly loving Jesus with immorality.
Not
sir.
at all.
If you don't see that contradiction and hypocrisy,
It's not
then
in
we
the
can't
least.
really do much for you.
Well, it's not in the least contradictory or hypocritical, because that is God actually ordering something
Was
directly.
God wrong for that?
Now, the question here is whether the Muslims, when they put people to death for apostasy today, are likewise authorized by God in some direct manner. Now,
Oh, that's
obviously,
what matters.
yes, the question is...
Then it's not inherently immoral. It just matters what is the correct religion and whether or not
Well, see-
God is actually revealing it.
Yeah, if you study the Old Testament, you will actually find that there's a great deal of discussion about passages like that and whether they are actually commands by God, whether they were understood by the faithful, interpretations by the faithful. The evolving understanding in the Old Testament and the New, and in Jewish and Christian tradition, is something that unfortunately is absent in Islam, such that in Jewish and Christian tradition you have the understanding of the dignity of the human person that ultimately made people realize that putting people to death for apostasy was not something that was acceptable.
Yeah.
But the idea that it was a localized command at some point or understood to be such, that is not the same thing as people nowadays thinking they are the executors of the wrath of Allah because Muhammad says if anybody changes his religion, kill him, and the Quran says that you can soothe your heart by fighting the unbelievers
Yeah,
and
so
so on.
Christian, Robert,
Can we hear from Brother Rashid for one? Brother Rashid,
Yeah,
go for
yeah.
it. What's on your
Yeah,
mind?
because this concerns me. Do you believe I should be put to death?
I believe that the punishment for apostasy in a correct Islamic state is death. I believe that that's
So
the correct.
you-
Let me finish. Let me just respond,
Yeah.
sir. I believe that that is the correct punishment, which has been revealed by God both in the Quran and the Bible. And for Robert to turn around,
I
and
asked
say,
you-
Let me finish.
I asked you, do you believe I should be killed
And
today?
I answered you, sir. I answered
Yes
you,
or
sir.
no?
I answered you.
Yes or no?
I answered you.
I think
and
he said yes.
You want me to
yeah,
answer?
yeah,
I said-
yeah, you answered me.
In a proper Islamic jurisdiction,
Yeah.
an Islamic nation, all of the laws of Islam and the Sharia, as revealed by God, should be applied.
So if we were in that
Including-
kind of state, would you do it?
Including
I'm not the one that
with
executes
proper due process, with a proper court hearing, just like any nation of laws. The laws of the Sharia should be applied, including the death penalty for not only apostates but also blasphemers.
You
those who
didn't answer
insult-
me, yes or no?
We did answer
Yes,
you.
we did answer.
Yeah, so I should
We
be
did.
killed.
We did answer.
I
your question.
deserve to be killed because I left Islam and became a Christian.
According to Islamic law, an apostate like you would be killed. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And according
okay,
to the Bible as well.
let me. This is a fallacy.
blasphemer.
This is a fallacy.
Robert,
too
that's-
cocky. Like you want to say
not a
you have it
fallacy.
too. It's a fallacy.
No.
Let us discuss this because
Why is it a fallacy?
it's a fallacy.
It's
let me
showing- it's
let me
showing your
finish. Let me
hypocrisy.
finish. Let me finish.
Please condemn Jesus.
Yeah.
please.
Oh, you think you
Condemn
should?
Jesus.
Robert already condemned
already
Okay,
condemned him, so-
No,
let me-
you're lying.
Let me
Let's
finish.
be on
let me
record
finish.
saying you're lying
Let-
about that.
Let me finish.
That's what happened.
Let's-
You said
let's-
eventually you realized you
You're
Just
lying.
let me finish. You
Let's hear
converted.
Brother
you-
Rashid, and then I'll come to you. Go for
You
it.
converted from Christianity to Islam. Your life is not under threat here in the U.S. I converted from Islam to Christianity. My life is under death. That's the difference between Christianity and Islam.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yes.
I got a question for you guys. I'm a data guy. I'm a finance guy. How many Christians have died going from being Christian to Muslim? How many Muslims have actually been killed or died going from being a Muslim to a Christian?
There's no data on that because these kinds of things are not recorded. They're not considered crime.
There should be,
in
though, right? I
Islam.
mean, shouldn't there, even if there's some stories to be able to say,
Yes.
XYZ individual.
I have stories. I have one in Mauritania who was condemned to be executed. We just got him out to Paris because we negotiated with the government there. I have people right now in Libya. They are under death penalty in Libya. I have people who got killed in Jordan, for example, because I do my show. People contact me. I have people who got killed in Jordan. Their parents killed them because they became Christians from a Muslim background. We have people in different places in the world. In the Muslim community, they kill them. And if they get if they get to flee, that's the best outcome.
I got a question. While I'm studying this, there's also, Daniel said something very interesting where the guidelines of Quran is based on the jurisdiction of the government, meaning where you live, the religion is follow whatever the laws are of that nation. Meaning, you can correct me. I'm just giving you what I've looked into. Does this mean these rules apply no matter where you live? Is that across the board, or is it's more stricter in certain Muslim nations than other Christian nations?
Islam is to be applied forever on every place since the time of Muhammad until today. So Muslims are just seeking to be a majority one day, and if Muslims are majority today, these two brothers will witness my killing in front of people, and they will be happy cheering the crowds that I was killed. So Islam is to be...
If U.S. became majority Muslim today, you would be killed.
I will be killed. Sharia is to be applied everywhere, every time, and that's the biggest difference with Christianity, because Jesus came and he stopped the Old Testament. He stopped he didn't stone the lady who committed adultery. He said in the law, tooth for tooth, and he said, no, you turn the other cheek. Jesus stopped the Old Testament. They don't have a New Testament in Islam. They have worse than the Old Testament. They have something that Muhammad never corrected. So today we have to do jihad. Today we have to kill the apostate. Today we have to kill the person who doesn't pray, even a Muslim. If he stops praying, he should be killed. If he has no excuse, he should be killed according to Islam.
I'd like to give them a chance to respond. Daniel, what would you, because the point I think you were making was how that maybe doesn't apply based on what the countries are. And then he makes a good point about saying, but if U.S. eventually becomes majority Muslim, then that could be the criteria that we have to follow in U.S. What's your...
Okay, so I think I'll link this video in the description. It's a very long conversation. I would like you to go and watch it. In the interest of time, I would link it in the description so that you go and check it out. But the thing is that any apostate must be killed in Islam. So if you convert from Islam to Christianity or to any other religion, you have a death sentence. And this is so much devastating. And he was asking if there is any data on the people who have been killed. Maybe they converted from Islam to Christianity and they were killed. And he was also asking about if there is anyone who converted from Christianity to Islam and was killed. And maybe that data is not available. But I told you that I have a video that I would like us to watch where a student of a university was killed for what they call blasphemy against Allah or against Muhammad. So please, let's watch this video, and I'll be making my comments at the end of this video.
We begin with Nigeria, where a woman has been beaten to death and set on fire on college premises. She was a student in this college. Her killers were her own classmates. What was her crime? Blasphemy. Her classmates accused her of insulting the Prophet Muhammad, and so they killed her. The incident has shocked the world. The incident took place in Nigeria's northwestern state of Sokoto. The victim has been identified as Deborah Samuel. She was a student of the Shehu Shagari College of Education. The students were upset over her comments, so they hunted her down, dragged her out of her college room, and attacked her and then set her ablaze. The details are disturbing, to say the least. The police have arrested 2 suspects and have promised to nab all those involved in the attack. The video of the attack has gone viral with the hashtag Justice for Deborah. An online petition has also been launched seeking punishment for her killers. What's more disturbing is that this is not the first such incident in Nigeria. Cases of vigilantism and people being jailed for blasphemy keep happening periodically. And in most cases, those accused of blasphemy are from the minority community. And it's not just armed vigilantism that is of concern. Terror groups like the Boko Haram
Okay, so this is very devastating. A student is suspected to have spoken something against Muhammad, and the fellow students whom they are together with in the same class have taken the student out of the class, beaten her, and set her on fire, and she burned to death. And you want to say that this is the best or true religion? Does Allah enjoy death? Because in Christianity, we teach that God does not delight in pain, in sorrow. He doesn't delight in any human going through any pain. And he says that for those who are in Christ Jesus, there is now no condemnation. So Christianity promises grace, promises forgiveness, but the Quran does not promise. Islam does not promise. It is like a tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye. So if you blaspheme or talk negatively about Islam or Muhammad or Allah, you need to be put to death. And people are celebrating this. So my friends, I just felt like sharing with you this and to just let you know why most of the Muslims may not change to Christianity or to any other religion because of this fear of death. And if they want to change, they have to move away from their country and go to a country that has less Muslims. So you realize, like Nigeria, 53% of Nigeria is Islam. Okay, so you find that these things will happen again and again. But if you go to like US, you find that Christianity takes, for example, 60% or 65%. So these things might not happen. But if you go to Libya, Morocco, or these Islam countries, you realize that if you change or if you talk badly about Muhammad or about Islam, you are put to death. So, my friends, I wish that you choose Christianity because this is the best religion according to me, in my own opinion. I'm not convincing you in any way to turn to Christianity, but this is a true fact that you need a religion where you have freedom of speech, where you can freely express yourself about the God that you serve. And if you found this video helpful, please make sure that you share it to your friends and those whom you know.
Hey, you've reached the end of this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give us a like and also subscribe for more videos. Now, click here to watch our next video, and I'm pretty sure that I will see you in that video. Peace.